Okay. I'm gonna start recording. And I want to share first a team of Morgan, Daniel, Greg, and Sarah's pitch. Is it okay?
Yep.
All right. Okay, here we go. Can you see? Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So who may present this pitch? Yeah, I already
Uh,
know this pitch. Yeah. Okay, do that, please.
I'm going to. All right.
All right.
So the story is going to be UWGB full capacity of students. The University of Wisconsin Green Bay has a growing number of enrolled students for the eighth year in a row. UWGB is at full capacity this year. For residence halls, the school is at 100.6 capacity, and parking is more full than it has ever been. With the increasing number of capacity in students, UWGB faces more crowded areas with full resident halls, fuller classrooms, and full parking lots as well. But really, what does this mean for UWGB? This is going to be a visual multimedia story by including pictures, videos of students going around classrooms and a full class and full classrooms as well. Who do we reach out to? We'd reach out to the Chancellor, Michael Alexander. We reach out to multiple students along with that, as well as a poll for students as well. Multiple professors outside of communication, but also in communication as well. And then on top of that, we'll reach out to Kelly Thacker, who's the UWGB Housing Director for UWGB. We would focus, or our angle would be really how this affects UWGB in a positive way, but also in a negative way with the full capacity. What are the struggles, but on top of that, what are the positives? So getting both sides there, we'll analyze the approach of a student with parking, housing, and more students. We will also look at the approach of a professor on how nice it is to have full classrooms and what does that mean for education purposes as well. Our team will capture pictures of full classes, pictures of the full parking lot, and new additions to the campus that they're building right now in the main housing lot. They're building a new building, but one time our special consideration would be making a poll that we would send out to students via email or Snapchat poll or stuff like that. But that would be really the only thing that would really be timing consideration.
Oh, okay. And I found out that there is one more pitch. Who suggested this pitch in your group? Who?
Sarah, do you want to do that or you want me to?
I can.
Oh, okay.
All right, Sarah.
So the Story Slug clubs and student orgs are seeing less engagement from underclassmen. So
Oh, sorry.
so this idea would be just based around a lot of clubs and student orgs are having a lot of difficulties getting younger students to join or participate in the events, which is leading to a lot of different clubs and organizations no longer being able to run just because they don't have the people for it anymore. It could be a visual multimedia story. We can include pictures and videos from some clubs that just show like the low number of students in attendance. Can also show their recruitment efforts, just like people in the hallways trying to get people to join clubs, booths, posters, all of that. We could talk to people from the student engagement office. We could talk to Olivia Soba. She's with Good Time Programming. Different student org members or leaders. I don't know who we could really talk to yet. But there are plenty of clubs out there that we could reach out to. And then also just professors or student mentors, like how they're seeing it and how is that impacting them as well, since a lot of them do run those clubs. And then the angle would just be the lack of engagement, how it's impacting campus culture and trying to figure out what might be causing it. And also just trying to look into how it's going to affect the future of clubs and organizations on campus. And then again, we can take pictures and videos from different clubs, pictures of different booths, posters, all of that good stuff. There weren't any really timing considerations for this or any other special considerations. So.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for suggesting these two pitches. And by the way, the first pitch, full capacity of students, were already chosen in my advanced reporting course as a investigative report, and I already told Daniel and Morgan that you can write this story. You can write this story for the first estate, but you have to do more. Do you remember, Daniel? Right?
Yeah, I remember that. We would just obviously expand more into it and more in-depth analysis of that.
Okay. And in my opinion, so there are some numbers here, and I have one question to second pitch, and are there any numbers showing the lack of students for each club?
There aren't any numbers, but it's hard to
Yeah.
kind of track that. But there are a lot of different clubs and organizations, specifically that I've talked to as well as a COMM Week co-director, that it's just really difficult to get people to join anything.
Okay. I see. Good to know. And this, I think this second story is very important also. Second pitch idea. And Sarah, you suggested this pitch, right?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. And yeah, first story is confirmed. And yeah, so okay. This is so my opinion is that if two, yeah, again, the first one is confirmed for my class, but if the second one is also very important to be covered at the beginning of the semester, but is it a little bit hard for you to write two stories for this 1.5 months? How do you think? The group of Greg, Sarah, and Daniel.
I mean, right away, I mean, we were hoping to, I guess, kind of go with the WGB full capacity. I mean, personally for me, as well as Morgan, just because, you know, we're kind of already started that story with your other class.
Okay.
It won't be easier, but it'd be more accessible doing it right now, just because we can get the information we got from our other class and help us write this in like a deeper story as well. Getting more information. Obviously,
I also think that since these are investigative stories, we're only going to be able to handle one at a time. So I do think
okay.
Going to have to look a lot.
Yeah, just suggestion because I was tempted. That means your two pitches are great. So just go first story. And Michael, do you have something to say about this pitch?
I think it's great. You know, I think last school year, UW Green Bay was one of only 3 schools that saw an increase in attendance throughout the UW system. So I think it'd be kind of interesting to see how many of the 13 campuses, the 4-year campus, had an increase or decrease in enrollment. And you could make a chart out of that, and maybe can you do an open records request to get maybe the last 10 years of UW Green Bay attendance to show whether it's gone, you know, whether it's trending up or trending down or whatever that might be. And I think I like the approach of interviewing students and the faculty that may have to deal with crowded classrooms, and what kind of an impact that might have on teaching the students. So it sounds great.
And Daniel and Sarah, Greg, did you take a note? Even though it is recorded?
Yep.
Yeah. Compare other GB campus and show the data visualization. Make sense?
Yep, for sure. Already on it.
Okay. And all right. Interviewing these sources are really great. And we have to ask also Chancellor. All right. So just write this story more in depth, and just to make sure that because this is a group work, 4 of you may work. So for this story, for the fourth estate here, I wish Sarah and Greg contribute more. Write more for this one. Sounds good?
Yeah, I'm sure they will. Don't worry.
Okay, I'm sure. I trust you. Okay. So hold on. I'm gonna stop sharing. And so the first one is done. And by the way, do you have any other suggestion for the first pitch? Any other suggestion? Do you have any? Any suggestions? I'm gonna reopen it. Any suggestions? Our editors, Joshi and Lauren, do you have something to add? Others? Yeah. We cannot hear. We cannot hear. Right? We cannot hear.
Can you hear now?
Yeah, we can hear. Yeah, we
Okay.
can hear. Yeah.
So we were trying to set up for the meeting, so we came in a little bit late and we kind of missed the good chunk of this pitch.
It's
But
fine. It's fine.
okay, so I do think it's interesting to talk about like how enrollment is increasing at UW Green Bay and what that's going to mean, especially in the classroom setting. Like I know for the most part, I'm used to having like really small, like tight-knit classroom like work, like group work, and just like getting to know everyone in the class. So like it's going to be a different experience for all these freshmen now that there's a lot more people coming in.
Mm.
Even just going around campus,
Yeah.
there's so many people just going from class to class.
Oh.
One other thing that maybe you could think about is, so one of my roommates is an ambassador and she said that this year for like welcome week, their turnout with like the freshman class was insane. Like they had never had so many people come to events and like be involved on campus. And I thought that was interesting because your other pitch was about how people aren't really getting involved in clubs as much anymore. So that would be something.
Yeah, right.
That's more for the
Sorry.
second story. I just thought it was an interesting
Yeah.
observation.
Yeah, very contrasting. This very contradictory. While we have full capacity of students, there are lack of engagement for the club. Yeah.
And like not the torpedo doing two stories, but like in my mind,
Yeah.
I want to do a contrasting story of we have this many people, but why
are the clubs?
why are the clubs not
declining?
gaining people?
Yeah.
That's a yeah.
Instead of doing
Okay.
two, you kind of combine them. But again, that like both are good. I'm just thinking
Yeah.
like it's more interesting to do a
Yeah.
contrasting story of you have this many new people, but why are they not going to the clubs or participating in like extracurricular stuff?
Mm-hmm.
I have combining two pitches sounds a little bit interesting in my opinion. So first, in this form of investigative report, there should be some problem, right? We may raise some problems, right? We may have raise some problem full of capacity, or there are multiple problems. So the full parking lot, but in terms of the engagement, but you may also add that this full capacity of students does not lead to club activity. Yeah, club activity. Yeah, think about it. Make sense?
Yep.
Make
you're all
sense,
good.
sir? Yeah.
Yep.
Others. How do you think, Michael, by the way? How do you think? Yeah. Rage problem. Yeah.
I don't know. I think that would be up to the students to see whether they'd have enough time to do it if they were combined.
Yeah.
I do like the I think either of them would stand on their own as pretty strong stories. So maybe that would be a factor in determining whether they would be combined or not.
Okay.
I guess I would see whether the students would have the time to combine both. That
Okay.
To me, I would say that they wouldn't have the time, but
Okay. I see. Okay. Focus on first, but second might be the alternative. Yeah. One condition of a problem. Okay. Sounds good. And others in this room, please. Others, any suggestion? Any thought?
I think something you could do too is like
Yeah.
briefly touch on that too with even though we're at full capacity, we're still seeing not many people involved in orgs. Even briefly touching on that would kind of I think would be interesting and important to even if you're just doing a paragraph about it. I think it'd be interesting to include it somehow, but
just one paragraph, right? Correct, Grace?
no, I was just throwing that one paragraph thing out there, but just even mentioning it somewhere in there or talking about it a little bit, I think might be an interesting touch to the piece itself.
Oh, okay. So yeah, all right. Reasonable. And others? All good? Jared, Will? Okay. And Brianna, Tanya, can you turn on camera? Can you turn on camera? And Daniel, Morgan, Greg, you all take a note, right?
Yep, we took notes. We're all good.
Okay. All right. Let's go to another story idea. Okay, thank you. And thank you, Tanya, Brianna, and let's go to another story. Okay, can we go to Josh? Team of Josh, Lauren, and Grace?
Yeah, we can do that.
Sure.
Oh, you should do that. Okay, then never mind. Okay, all
Well,
right.
you asked it, so
Yeah.
Okay, I know. Yeah, sorry. All right, I was a little bit, really, again, I'm little bit hyped today because of your pitch and your participation. So please understand. So, okay, Josh, Lauren, Grace, who will read your story idea?
I can read it. So
All right.
our topic is it's about UW system budgeting. So it's important to campus, like UWGB students, faculty, as well as like the broader community, because it's going to be touching on like the UW system's budgeting and how it's like received cuts this year. But despite that, like as the last pitch just touched on, UWGB's enrollment numbers like remain consistent and even increasing despite like the budget cuts. So one of the main goals of this budget cut was to reduce diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI programming and staff. So this question could be, how does UWGB's budget struggles relate to the struggles of other campuses, especially Oshkosh, because they have the biggest deficit in the UW system?
Oh, yes, right.
And then, why is this a visual multimedia story? This was like the one challenge we had with coming up with ideas for the story. But we thought we could take charts that show like UWGB's funding trends compared to other campuses, as well as like enrollment, and maybe even like side by side them, like over time, like here's been the budget and here's been like the enrollment, and just kind of see if there's any trend with that. And then also just pictures of like campuses to kind of like set the scene, you know, like, oh, here we're at UW Green Bay, or here's Oshkosh. Just like a little overview of that. And then moving on to sources, we have quite a few sources. So first we had Kate Burns, which is the provost, who is the provost. And
slow down. It's fine. Yeah.
Okay, and she deals with like a number of things, including like budgeting. So she would be an interesting source to talk to. And then we have Jennifer Jones, who is the Assistant Vice Chancellor for Enrollment. So getting a quote about our enrollment from her would be pretty good. Next we have Rachel. I don't know how to say her last name, but she is the Executive Director of Admissions. And then Michael Alexander or Susan Grant Robinson, so either the Chancellor or the Chancellor Chief of Staff. And then we also added Christina Shelton, who is a state representative for the 90th District. And just to kind of get her perspective as a legislature, because that's where the budget cuts come from, is like the Wisconsin State Senate. So just to see her opinion on it, her stance would be interesting. Plus her husband is a professor here at UWGB.
John Shelton, yeah.
Yes, and then Stacy Christian, who is the UWGB Assistant Vice Chancellor of Inclusive Excellence. So getting a quote for her about all of the diversity issues, if we're really getting hit with that, and what exactly that means for us as a university. So then describing the angles. So we have why are UWGB's numbers consistent despite declining enrollment in other colleges, as well as how the recent cuts to the UW system will affect UWGB, its staff, faculty, and students. Why is the budget being cut? Has there been a trend in declining budgets for the UW system in recent years? What is the motivation for the legislature cutting the budget? Why are they opposed to DEI initiatives? What is the end goal? What will the impact be on the UW system and its schools? And then looking at how we will use sound and pictures. we can use the charts and the graphs, as I mentioned above, as well as images of campus and possibly pictures of interviewees. And as far as timing goes, I don't think there's any like major concerns or constrictions with timing, since it's a pretty broad, like long form story. And yeah, no other special considerations.
Oh, but system budgeting. So this budget cut is applied to every UW system, right?
Mhm.
Where did you get this news?
Kind of from all over. Like I
All
read
over?
like some PBS articles. I was reading
Mm,
some of the budgets like from the UW system website too.
Yeah,
mm.
it seemed both nat or more national
Yeah.
leaning
Oh,
outlets like AP kind of report
Yeah.
on this, but then also more local, like the
Mhm.
Press Gazette or even the TV
oh,
station, like Fox 11 or BAY, so
Oh.
stuff like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, because as soon
Oh.
as they were talking about the budget cuts, it was everywhere. I was reading it like all of the local stations were talking about it, so it's kind of a piece that's everywhere that everyone is talking about. So
Especially
Oh,
because I think kind of the order of who's getting the most, like, or who's taking the brunt of the budget cuts are Madison and Milwaukee,
Mhm.
and
I
then
thought Oshkosh was too.
well, Oshkosh I think like suffered the most, but like in
Yeah.
terms of the amount being taken, like Madison will take the most of the budget cuts in terms of monetary numbers, but yeah, Oshkosh definitely hurt a lot because of the budget cuts.
Yeah.
mm.
And Oshkosh, I don't quote me, but I think they had to lay off
Yeah, I know. Furlough, I heard. Yeah.
something like that, like a lot of their staff.
Yeah, and when the Oshkosh news broke, that definitely put more of a spotlight on the issue as a whole.
Mhm.
Mm. Yeah, really broad story that can be applied to entire Wisconsin. And so, Michael, have you ever heard about this issue, and do you have any thoughts on it?
Sure. So I know you're going to get a quote from Ms. Shelton, who is the representative of this area, and I know her husband works at UW Green Bay. Is she a
Yeah.
Democrat or a Republican? Do you know?
Democrat.
She's a Democrat. So you'll probably want to get a Republican legislator somehow into that story too, to give it a little bit of balance.
Oh,
That's a good idea.
Yeah, and I kind of thought of that, and then I kind of wanted to bring it here to be like who specifically, because obviously Shelton is this area specifically. So, but then there's a bunch of other Republicans we could talk to.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm not sure that maybe the state senator who would represent the Green Bay campus
Okay.
that person might be a Republican. I'd have to go back and check.
Yeah, that's Andre Yak, who's a Republican.
He's a right. He's a Republican. So that would be someone that you could talk to, and he would be a very important part of that. And then that would give you some balance to that. And then for the DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion part of it, I noticed that UW-Madison had Jennifer Mnuchin actually said this past week that not only they're not going to reduce any DEI from their budget, they're actually going to increase their DEI efforts. So that's sort of going against everything that the Republican legislature wants them to do. And I think so the total amount that the Republicans cut from the UW budget was, I think, around 32 million. And the Republicans figured that was the amount of money that the entire UW system spent on DEI. And so I think you're right. You'd like to be able to figure out how much of that money how much of that is at UW Green Bay, and how much money was spent on DEI at UW Green Bay. How many employees are in the office, if there is an office? I'm not sure. And what they plan on doing with that. And you're right. I think UW Green Bay is running a deficit this year. I think over $6 million. Was it over $6 million? I can't remember, but it's certainly a very important piece that you're going to take a look at. And I'm just looking at it now. I don't have. I'd have to look again through it just to make sure that I'm not missing anything. But I think that balancing the story with a Republican, getting the DEI numbers, and would get you on a really good path for that story.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. This story exactly fit the characteristic investigative report characteristic. I'm sure that it is really the pitch itself is really in depth, and I'm sure that it takes more than a month to include all these informative pieces. And yeah, okay. Also, yeah, what will be impact? Yeah, this one. Yeah, you may also suggest what will be. Yeah, what's the end goal, the impact of this budget cut. Yeah, you may also focus on the impact of the budget cut. Yes, and yes, so budget and also can you make a chart on the comparison of the previous year and last year, previous years and current year showing the budget cut? Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of our ideas. Either we could make it, I don't know if we could like insert a chart from like the UW Systems website has a lot of charts that show like tuition or like affordability trends. It's over the years, so.
Okay.
Yeah, like that information could be just available and we could just put in, so we wouldn't have to get ourselves.
All right. Yeah, that looks good. So, okay.
Joseph, can I say one thing?
Oh yeah, sure. Why not? Yeah, please.
So, Josh and Lauren, I have not read much information yet on how UW Green Bay is going to cope with this budget deficit. Have there been stories? Have you seen anything along those lines? Because if you haven't, you might be breaking news when you ask the chancellor how he's going to cope with these budget deficits. I mean, they're going to have some sort of a plan. I just haven't read anything about how the campus plans on coping with that.
Yeah,
I'm sure they're still trying to figure it out, to be honest. They're probably still scrambling for an answer to figure everything out.
Yeah, could be, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that's my there hasn't been any news, I don't think, about how specifically GB is going to be coping with the budget cuts. I do know that they're still working on figuring that out, depending, like, do we cut from here or there or whatever? So that's still in the works.
Yeah.
If you stay on top of that and let the chancellor's office know that you want to get that information as soon as possible, hey, you could break a statewide news story there. I'm not kidding. That would be a good one.
Yeah, really. Yeah. There are two, because this story they're managed by two co-editors, student editors, and one great writer, Grace. So yeah, that can be a great opportunity. So yeah. So yeah, in addition to Michael, if you introduce this, this is the UW specific system, but also because we are all belonging to UWGB, if you write some portion specific to UWGB, one or two paragraph, and one or two, one subhead, what happened to GB and what will be the impact on UWGB, that would be great. Break this news first, and write down the investigative piece. 1.5 months later. Sounds good?
Sounds good.
Very good. All right. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing also. Who will be next person? Who will be next person? Uh-oh. Okay, hold on. It stopped working. Hold on. Hold on. Yes. So are there any volunteer? So next will be, yeah, I'm gonna select by myself. Okay, here we go. Digital journalism. Great. Next will be team of Mason, Colin. Who are they? Team of Mason, Colin, Caleb, and Austin, right?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay. All right. Okay. So here we go. Who will start reading? Oh yeah, I'm gonna share the screen first also. Okay. Here we go.
So I'll start the reading. So the story idea is that the UW Green Bay volleyball team currently isn't doing so hot. They're currently 2-8, and they're currently on a 7-game losing streak.
Hey, correction. 2-10. 2-10.
2-10. When I checked, it said 2-8, but they might have had a game or two. But at that
I'm
point,
sure that's correct. Yeah, correct. Am I right? 2-10, right?
I'd have to recheck.
Okay,
But I
okay.
know conference play starts today.
Yeah.
And then, they're currently riding a losing streak. If they're 2-10, that's a 9-game losing streak. So
Yes,
basically,
yes.
the story is, how is UWGB volleyball planning to turn their season around with conference play starting now?
Mm.
So visuals for the story, you could do game action pretty easily. We'll have interviews with some of the players and the coach, and then B-roll of just the stadium in general. So then the sources, I put Abby Sutherland, the head coach. Seemed like a good person to talk to. Then I wanted one of them's a sophomore, one of them's a junior. I believe Abby Gardner is the sophomore and Emma Johnson's the junior. I'd have to relook. But I wanted a lowerclassman and upperclassman's opinion on the piece, just to see how they plan to turn it around. And then different angles. You're getting to see what the coach thinks, what a lowerclassman and what an upperclassman think they're going to do to turn it around. How will you use the sound and pictures to tell a story? Honestly, I think the story kind of writes itself. You show that they aren't doing too well. You show that they need to pick it up, and then you do the interviews and show the court and stuff like that to show this is what they want. This is what they have to do better. And then for timing considerations, if all of a sudden they start getting better, this story isn't going to last that long. We got to push the story out early if we go with this one, just because, all of a sudden they start doing well starting today. Well, there kind of goes the story. Not so much goes the story due to one win, but let's say they start getting on a nice hot winning streak and start winning a lot. Then there's an issue with the story being too late. And then for other considerations, I said it was basically a news report. Kind of felt more like the visuals told the story better than writing it down on a piece of paper.
Okay. And second pitch, please.
So our second pitch is about the men's soccer team. They're having a really good start to the season so far, and just kind of hearing what has changed, because this is one of the best years that they've had since I've been a student here, and just kind of seeing what changed, if it's just experience, if it's culture, what related. So the reason why this is a multimedia story is you can get game action, interview, B-roll, pictures. Like it's very accessible. They play on ESPN Plus, so if we need to take video or picture from that, we can. So some of the sources that we could go to would be Jeremy Bonomo, so he's the head coach. Tobias Young, he's a junior. He's the goalkeeper, and I've met him before. I've talked to him a couple of times, so we feel like that could be one that we can get fairly easily. And then Luca Constable, who's a sophomore. So the angles and approaches, we could just kind of talk to the coach to see what they think about just like what's going on, what they think of like the season so far, how do they feel like they can do against conference, and just kind of see where they can go from there. So we'll use sound and picture to tell the story. I mean, we can use audio from just the stadium. It gets pretty loud when goals and other stuff happens. So if we're at the game, we could capture that. We can show action on the field fairly easily. Once again, games are televised on ESPN Plus sometimes, and I mean, just show up to the game with camera. Timing considerations. Since it is kind of more of like, oh, they're off to a good start. Kind of the opposite of the volleyball. We want to like highlight that, hey, they've gotten off to a good start of the season and see if they can continue that. So it would have to be done probably the first couple of weeks here, just in case if they start slipping a little bit. And for other special considerations, shooting it more of like a report on the team rather than just like a web article would probably be more beneficial. It would just seem more natural rather than just a, hey, UWGB is doing good, like kind of a full understanding of it's the cultures, players, like all I understand, like why are they succeeding rather than, hey, they're just succeeding.
Oh. So thank you for your pitch. I have few suggestions, but one thing that I want to point out is that if one of these pitches is selected, these two stories are quite in contradictory. You may start writing as soon as possible and also finish it as soon as possible, and this should be done at around whenever it is ready. Yeah, this story might take. This story should be published around the mid-October, so as soon as possible. And so, quick questions. Quick things that I want to add. In terms of volleyball, our women's volleyball, our last year was really great, right?
I mean, kinda. I mean, they did have issues with someone tearing their ACL, I believe, and they were out for a while, and they were pretty important to the team. But overall, I thought they did fine.
Yeah, last year I remember that our women's volleyball's winning percentage is over 0.5. Yeah, but we are a little bit struggling. Yeah, compare the past record and current record, and also for men's soccer also. Yeah, we did not. Yeah, unfortunately last year we couldn't advance to our Horizon League tournament last season. Yeah, right. Yeah, compare the last year's record and this year's record, and compare the statistics. In terms of volleyball, you may compare the number of blocks, number of blocks and number of kills. Last year, there should be statistics there. And also in soccer, compare statistics last year's the goal per day and pass success rate, and and in terms of defense, in terms of for goalie, the clean sheet. So the percentage of clean sheet per each player. So I want to mention to compare the statistics, and Michael, do you have any thoughts on this?
Sure. You covered most of it.
Yeah.
I think where I'd like in the volleyball story, where do they get their recruits from? Is it mostly in-state or is it out of state? I'm just wondering if the best volleyball players in the Green Bay area are going or are being recruited elsewhere. You might be able to do a Google search under the Green Bay Public School Conference girls volleyball records and see whether or not any of the best players from the Green Bay public schools, did they end up going to UW Green Bay or did they go elsewhere? I'd like to know the history of the program, like year by year victories and defeats. Is this, have they had a winning season? Have they had a championship? How long has the program been in place? I don't really know. I'm not familiar with it, but if I were a reader, I'd like to see that. Is the poor record a product of them having better competitions or better competition among the schools? So the Horizon League, that's one thing, but do they have a non-conference schedule before the league play starts? And are those teams' records, in the past and this year better than what UW Green Bay could hope to have? And
here we go. Here, I'm sharing all the record.
Okay.
Everyone can see this record. Can see this screen. Everyone can you see this screen? Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
So that would be good to take a look at. At the other schools and how they're doing. On the men's soccer team, I know that last year the past few years they've had a little bit of struggle, but that's great that they're doing well. And so I do like the idea of trying to figure out what's changed. Is the roster dominated this year more by juniors and seniors than by freshmen and sophomores? Are they more experienced this year? That might have something to do with it. I wonder what the game attendance is. I mean, is their winning record leading to better attendance at the games? Maybe compare their non-conference to conference records, and then the history of the program. How many championships has UW Green Bay won over the years? Is there a recent one, or has there been many, many years since the last championship or the league championship? And if there has been, and is the league championship within their reach? Maybe taking a look ahead to their schedule for the rest of the year and see what the competition is like. Do they have a chance at winning the league title, or do they have a chance at qualifying for the playoffs?
Yeah, tournament. Yeah.
So those are both good stories. I guess they're kind of timely. So
very timely.
Sure, so I don't think a month and a half from now they're going to be a little different.
Yeah, so right.
So I guess I urge you to try to get those stories in sooner rather than later.
Okay. Very good. And I'm gonna go to screen share for this story again. And there it is. Here we go. Others. Do you have any thoughts, others, in terms of sports history? Any more information?
Hey, can I call you back? Yeah, I'm on a video call.
Others, please. Yeah, others, please.
Right.
I had something.
Okay, our editor. Yeah.
So for both stories, would it be a good idea, since they're very performance oriented, would it be a good idea to get some kind of man on the streets sort of content from people who either go to games or just fans of both teams to kind of give? Because if you have the volleyball one where it's how do they get better, you maybe get some fan opinion and just kind of sprinkle that in there, just how did they get better, or kind of the inverse for the soccer one.
Mm-hmm. And like Michael was saying too, is it impacting students' desire to go to games? Oh, we know they're not going to win, so we don't want to go anyways. You can ask them does it make you not want to go, or how does this make you feel? Stuff like that.
Oh, and then too, this isn't really necessarily about it's kind of about content, but what's kind of the permissions for as a student going into a game and getting footage of those games and of the players? Is there kind of a permission barrier for that? like that might be something to consider, like if it's an issue.
Yeah, and no, that's a good point that's a good point. Yeah, we can kind of see what we can do about that. I mean, I know for the most part they've been pretty good. When I took this class last year, I did like story on like the hiring of Sundance Wicks, and I was able to do whatever pretty much except be on like the media like stand, like from where I was sitting, like I could take whatever pictures and whatnot. So as we can just double check that type of things, but yeah. Good point.
Yeah, like I figured it'd be fine. I just want to make sure we're not getting burned because you don't want to like do all this work and then you can't use any of it.
I think on those types of situations, well, first of all, I don't think you need to ask to take pictures at a game, but you may need to get permission to be on the sideline. And so I think the better thing to do would be to go to the athletic department and get some sort of a media pass, like a field pass. And so that you'd be able to have that pass with you. So that if someone said, hey, what are you doing here? You show the pass that allows you access to the field, and then you're all set. You wouldn't have anything to worry about. So I think for most athletic departments, as long as they know that you're going to be there, and as long as they can give you a pass or at least find out who you are and what you're doing, then you should not have any problem getting access. And any video that's taken at these games, that should not be there shouldn't be any privacy issues or anything related to that.
Just as somebody who works in the athletic department on a near daily basis, I just have a couple thoughts, kind of on both stories. First with the volleyball one, I think just from an athletics branding standpoint, I don't think we want a negative view on like, hey, the team is doing really bad. How can they get better from here? So kind of finding a solution for that. I think in 2018, they won the Horizon League Championship, and that was Coach Sutherland's first year here. So maybe you could turn that into how do you get back into winning a championship? Because a lot of the players on the team that year just graduated this past season. You can also talk about the home tournament that they had last week. It was the first ever tournament sponsored by Capital Credit Union. So you could talk about that. And then regarding soccer, I think one of your sources you had is Luca. You could talk about Chris Album because he had the first hat trick. Let's see, in almost 10 years, 2014. So you could talk about him and kind of like the history he's making. And he's also leading the team in goals right now. So I think that would be a better source. And as a soccer contact, I think you're better off talking to the assistant coach, John O'Reilly, instead of the head coach, Jeremy Bonomo. There is only one like true senior on the team. It's Hezron Berry. He's the reigning defensive player of the year in the conference. So there's that as well. And as far as credentials, just if you go to the website, I think it's under Inside Athletics, and then you click Athletics Communications. My contact information is there, and so is Dylan DeRusso's. He's my boss, and he's the volleyball contact. So there you go.
Yeah, no, and like thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, no, like the volleyball story would definitely be more of like kind of like, hey, what's like solutions, like rather than just they haven't had the good start to the year. Like it'd be more of like what are things that like how are we going to get back on track, kind of like how you said. So yeah, and no, we'll definitely look into possibly being able to speak with the reign defensive player of the year, and then the hat trick, and see if we can get talking to them.
Hey Greg, this is Mike Julie. Those are all great suggestions. Thank you so much for adding them to the comments. That was really good.
I think go ahead.
I
was gonna say the one thing, again, depending on what you want to show and include for media, even creating or finding some type of chart of like tracking wins and losses, like with the championship that Greg was talking about, even like showing some of the stats to like, again, depending on how you want to go with this story, if it gets picked, having some type of visual with showing the wins and losses, even attendance too, I think would be a really great graphic to include to tell the story.
Yeah, I found out that we all kept a record of attendance. So yeah, that's good. And that's what I always emphasize as a man on the street interview to our audience. So yeah, pick one. So how about which one, soccer or volleyball? How do you think? Which one would go? Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
oh, sorry.
Yeah, go for it.
I mean, like personally, I'm
Yeah.
more of like an optimistic person, so like I kind of would rather like talk about the soccer team and like kind of talk about how they're, you know, a young team that's doing really well. And I mean, from sounds of it, like it should only get better. So like I personally go with soccer if I had to choose, but I mean, if depending upon what other people think, we can do the volleyball.
So I also thought the soccer pitch was the soccer story was just a better story.
Why, Mason? Yeah.
Well, because Greg mentioned it that like you start in kind of a gloomy situation at the top of the volleyball, and then you move into a nice lighter story about how they're going to get better, and then you just moving on from top to bottom. It just the soccer story is happy all the time though.
Okay. All right. Okay. So did you all take a note what Greg mentioned and what everyone mentioned?
Yeah, I was putting stuff on my phone.
Yeah, also, yeah, this video was recorded. I'm gonna upload my YouTube and you can see it later. But yeah, go to soccer story. But my suggestion is that at the second pace first, this story should be done as soon as possible. Understand? Make sense? Yeah, start
Yep.
right now. And second, yeah, compare statistic. And second is that if for the second pace or later when your first this story is done, if our women's volleyball team record will be still same, please write the second one. Okay?
Okay.
Sounds good?
Yep. Sounds good.
Yeah. Okay, go to soccer game, the soccer game chosen, and yeah. So okay, soccer chosen, and if our women's volleyball is still same, yeah, let's go for this story. Yeah, women's volleyball story. Others, last thought. All good.
I was just gonna say, depending on what pitch you get, I heard that the home soccer games have been like really packed, so I just want to throw that food for thought out there.
Yes, always man on the street interview. Fan the reaction for this story, right?
We also have Oktoberfest next Saturday, so that'd be a really good time for photos and stuff.
All four members, Mason, Caleb, Austin, and Colin is here also, right? No?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's working right now.
Yeah, he told me email. 4 of you should go there next soccer game. Sounds good?
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you, Mason. And Brianna. Is it okay? Yeah, let's go to Brianna. Okay. Just start pitching. Present your pitching.
Okay.
Lindsay,
so
Brianna, and Tanya.
We decided to do a story on the parking issue on campus right now.
Yeah.
Redoing the parking lot for the trads, and they're also building a new dorm building, apartments for sophomores. So it's been an issue with students and staff and people from the community coming in for events, not being able to find parking, or having to park far away from where they're trying to go. So the sources we discussed about talking to and who would be important are campus police, because they have a lot of intel on like where students are now parking and
because some students are parking in places that they're not supposed to, like in handicap spots. And then the commuters, because it really affects them as well. And then students specifically who live on campus and professors who are coming here every day too.
Including me, like me, yeah.
So we talked about how students can't find parking with the construction and the lack of parking for students who live there, having to walk far away, creating an issue for people. So potential sources are like how they deal with it. So getting that information from students and staff specifically. And then from the police or even staff who have been here for longer, what they have done in the past when there's been construction, and how they handled all of that. And then if there ever has been specific construction on different parking lots that have created this issue. And then a couple solutions we thought about were just creating more parking. But another issue with that is having to figure out where we would put new parking. And then another one was possibly constructing a parking garage. I know, like, I think it's Concordia, their parking is just a parking garage, and it's easier for students. And then in the winter too, then there's not snow that the cars have to deal with being plowed in. So we talked about taking pictures of the full parking lot and students parking in places they're not supposed to, pictures of the possible sources, videos, and just talking to students about their opinions on it. Then we just had like a little timing.
Good. Yeah.
Because we also I heard that they're not going to be done until like the end of October. So timing with like the end of construction and everything is kind of funky too with getting the story. But so that was our first one we had. And then the second one, I think it was on Lindsay's computer. So I don't think we have it submitted.
Lindsay? Okay.
Yeah, and she couldn't be here today.
Why? I didn't get email from Lindsay.
So I might have to reach out to her and resend it.
Okay. Hold on. All right, parking issue. So do you know what's her idea?
Well, we talked about that. We talked about just getting more people involved in like coming to the events on campus and like marketing.
That story was suggested by the first group, right?
Okay, I missed that.
Oh, no. You can. So, but I would like to see her pitch. Yeah, pitch draft. But I could not see here on canvas at this moment. So, and this parking story was a little bit overlapped with the first group. Yeah, first group. And let's go back to this one. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, make sure that if you missed this one, yeah, make sure to send the email first. There's already some of you send the email to me. Yeah, I can completely understand. But yeah, again, I think this story is a little bit overlapped with the full capacity, but more specific to parking, right?
And construction. I think more so like that and the issue with construction.
Okay. Before that, Austin, Caleb, and Dylan. Can you hear me? Austin, Caleb, Dylan?
I can hear you.
You already know why I call your name, right? You guys already know why I call your name, right?
Yep.
Yeah, why? Can you tell me why?
So we did the story last year, right when like all the parking and stuff was like first beginning, before the East Housing parking lot was like finished. So when everyone was parking in the crest, that's when we did that story. And
yeah, at media workshop. Yeah,
Yep.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, and it was, I mean, how no one really talked to us other than university police, and even at that, they really didn't shed like brand new info. Is more or less than just like these are places you can park. We're trying our best here, like type things. Like it was kind of difficult to write, so we pretty much angled it more onto what's the student reaction to it. So
Right, I remember. Sarah interviewed it.
Yeah, no, Sarah was one of the people we interviewed.
Yeah. So my first suggestion is that, please visit our Convoys, media workshop website, and I'm sure that their story was published. Please read that one first, okay, Brianna?
Yeah.
And Tanya is here, right? Tanya?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. Yeah, please read that story first. And and also Austin points out important thing. Yeah. So Austin more focused on students' reaction, and most of also they focused on multimedia, right?
Yeah, I mean we took a handful of pictures, like just kind of the parking overflow, the construction going on. I mean, we kind of incorporated that into it too. So it was just it was like pictures.
And so I remember that I kicked them out to get to the picture out of the classroom, right? Yeah. Until but I think that was a very important lessons. You have to do that. So all right. So my concern is that also are there any way to contact Lindsay to get her?
I can, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think I am tempted to know more about even the lack of student activity. Yeah.
Mhm.
So please send text message to Lindsay, and let's go to Michael. Michael, do you have any thoughts? How do you think? So my opinion is that rather than covering this parking story, so focus on the student organization, lack of engagement in student organization. That's my opinion. And how do you think, Michael?
Yeah, I guess I know that there was that previous story that was published, and I know that they had a difficult time actually getting the university officials to talk about it. I guess I'd have to go back and reread that story. There might still be something there to write about if you could figure out how many parking spaces there are on campus, and when was the last time a new parking lot was added. Compare or how many parking spots were lost as a result of the construction. So is it only 2%? Is it 5%? Is it 10% of all the parking?
Exact statistic. Yeah.
Right.
Thank you.
And then compare the number of tickets that university police issued since the construction started with a normal year of tickets. And is this are they giving out a lot of tickets as a result of this, or not enough maybe? Is there, what about has the university looked at increased bus service? Or is there another parking lot off campus that the university could then have people park at, and then maybe have a shuttle that runs every half hour? There's alternatives. There's always alternatives to building more parking. And what about programs to share rides? What about is the university promoting some sort of a shared rides program so that not everyone can take their individual cars to the campus? Maybe there's a way that they can solve this parking issue by promoting more ride shares. And I don't know about construction. A parking garage is very expensive. I know you're going up in terms of parking spots, but I'm not sure that the university would have enough money in its budget for that. But I do think that there are ways to get around this. And I'd be interested to see whether the university is doing any of that, any of those sort of proactive things to try to ease the parking situation. So there could be a follow-up story to what's already been published. And if you got the university officials to talk about that.
And there are two, Sarah and Grace had some suggestions. Yeah, Sarah and Grace, please. Sarah first. Yeah.
For me, I know you mentioned Concordia and their parking garage. So my boyfriend actually goes to Concordia and they're struggling with massive parking issues right now as well. So just kind of wanted to throw that out there. Like their parking garage is actually causing more problems than it is solving any. So I just wanted that to be on your radar too, as far as that. So.
Oh. And Grace.
The other thing that I was going to add too was that I heard a rumor that they're going to be building another parking lot. I don't know if it's true or not, but it'd be worth like, you know, sticking your nose into if that's, you know, but it was something that was posted to like one of the stupid what is it, the class of whatever Snapchat story that a bunch of people just randomly get added to. If you know what I'm talking about, but someone posted a screenshot there that apparently that they're thinking about adding another parking lot, and from what I saw, it looks like it's going to be behind possibly Hardin is my guess, which is, but you know, they already expanded the, was it the East housing lot, the one that's like right by Schaefer and all that, but I don't know. Just wanted food for thought and like throw that out there too, if it's worth looking into or not, if it, you know, but yeah.
So I also wrote.
Oh, sorry, Daniel. Yeah. Okay. Oh,
Daniel, you go first.
Oh,
I just want to add on to that. First off, they are in the plans going to work on building an additional parking lot, building. It's supposed to essentially add on to the one they're building right now. It's supposed to be an L shape. I work in housing, so I kind of understand where it's coming from, but they don't have enough funding right now. They barely have enough funding for this building they're doing right now, but that's down the future. That's still like years away. So I just wanted to add that in.
And Lauren, please. Yeah.
When I wrote the story about like the new building and then like tearing down the track
last year, yeah.
Yeah, when I talked to the architect for the project, he said that they realized that everyone is going to be like super upset with the lack of parking and that they were going to double the East housing parking lot. So I don't know for sure like their timeline on that or if that is like happening soon or still happening. So you could also look into that and see if that's a thing, because I know the East housing lot is like not used that much, but like now that there's like not a ton of parking, like you kind of have to use it. So
Okay. It seems that after getting all of your idea, all of your thoughts, it's okay to go to parking lot issue, some kind of follow-up story.
Okay.
Makes sense?
Yeah.
Makes sense? Yeah. So parking lot story. And yeah, please take a note. Yeah, I'm sure that you took a note. And even though you did not take a note, all the video was recorded, and I'm gonna share our video today. And don't worry too much. And yeah, this should be a first. Your job is to visit our media COMM425. I'm gonna share later, and you can find it also. A story written by Austin, Dylan, and Caleb, and read that one first, and try to add more in depth from that one. Yeah. So yeah, I think parking. Yeah, honestly, I think that yeah, it's okay to go to write a parking lot story.
Okay.
Michael, all good? How do you think, Michael? Do you think it's good?
Yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah.
UW Green Bay was designed as a commuter school basically, and they knew that there was going to be a lot of a need for a lot of parking spaces there, and with a budget with the budget crunch that UW Green Bay faces now, boy, I would be very surprised if they're adding parking lots. I don't think that would be something that would be in the budget. I would hope that they would be looking at different things to get around the capital expenditure of creating another parking spot. So, but I still think that there is a lot there yet to report. It could be very timely. If they are gonna if they are gonna build a new parking lot, that's actually breaking news. And that's something you might be able to stay on top of. And if you got that news, you could post that right away. So
yes.
yeah.
All right. All right. Parking lot, please go for it. And others, all good? Others?
I just have one suggestion to possibly incorporate into this. With the parking lot and like with East Housing being expanded, maybe it would be interesting, like safety almost. I don't know what my brain was going with this, but I was thinking like I've driven past the East Housing lot at night and it seems pretty dark. Like there's not enough lighting, to me at least. So maybe I don't know, like incorporating somehow like safety in there too. However you want to go with that, but I just wanted to throw that food for thought out there too.
Oh, and some danger for students or people to walk around the construction site without any enough signs. And I remember that Austin also took that kind of photo, right? Austin?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, please take all these things into consideration, okay?
Okay.
Okay, Brianna and Tanya. Tanya, are you there? Brianna, Tanya?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. So can we go to next pitch? Yeah, pretty working well. Will and Jared. We have 3 more, but let's go to Will. Okay. Okay. Can you read? Who will read? Yeah. Who will read this story?
So for pitch one, we were thinking of the local farmers market success. The farmers market is in close proximity to the campus in downtown Green Bay, and it's relevant as it attracts over 1,000 people every Saturday. It's also kind of a feel-good story that shows the community bonding together. And the farmers market is also relevant because it's cheaper option to buy produce as well as a purchasing method that is friendly to the environment. Why it's a visual multimedia story. The exchange of goods and services is at its core a social interaction. Still photography, sounds, and video could capture not only the micro level transactions that occur at the farmers market, but also the grand scale of the entire event and the process of setting up and taking down an event that is a staple of the Green Bay community. Sources, Jen Metcalf, the downtown Green Bay coordinator, the vendors at the farmers market, those attending the farmers market, and local business owners along Washington Street where the farmers market is located. The angles that we were thinking of is highlighting the success of the farmers market and bringing together local producers and consumers in a win-win scenario. Vendors can sell straight to the consumer with no middleman, and consumers can get organic produce at prices that are less expensive than most grocery stores. It's better for your health because it goes from garden to your table. For sound and pictures, sound could go towards the ambient sounds of sales, crates hitting the ground, produce being put in bags in exchange of thank yous, and overall the interaction between vendors and customers who participate at the market. Additionally, they can show happy customers and consumers after they've purchased their products. Timing considerations. We're coming to the end of the summer gardening season, so the farmers market will fall produce, such as apples and pumpkins, and this event only happens on Saturdays, and the last Saturday is that the farmers market takes place is October 28th, which is a little over a month from now. So that'd be a little bit, quite a bit before the first story comes out. And other considerations, we'll have to get B-roll before the farmers market is done.
All right. And next.
Yeah, I can take the second one here. So this one is about the Jake and Tanner show. Jake and Tanner are radio personalities who have been entertaining the Green Bay area for the past few years. Their show, The Jake and Tanner Show on 95.9 KISS FM, has been a staple of the Green Bay radio industry and is essential as, sorry, I can't speak, and is an essential part of many of the residents' mornings. The show is important for the community because they can interact with the men who have been a long source of entertainment for them. And why this is a visual multimedia story is that because they're performing at the Meyer Theater in a live show for audiences 18 and up. And the Meyer Theater is a historic landmark that holds a lot of significance to the city. And by making the story visual, people will be able to get a comprehensive view of this theater's grandeur, and pictures would better serve the story so that the audience could better understand the significance of this event. And in addition to this, we could possibly add audio bites from their show. And some possible sources that we could get in touch with is 95.9 KISS FM, talk to some of the representatives there to get some insight as far as what the show means to the community and how their ratings are. And then we could also get in touch with the Meyer Theater just to get a quick snapshot of, you know, how many people will be in attendance and what's the usual draw for this annual event. And we could also talk to local residents who listen to the Jake and Tanner show to kind of get their point of view on why this matters to them. And some of the angles and approaches for telling the story is that we would start by explaining the history of the show and the significance it holds in the Green Bay area. In addition to this, we would explain what their live show is and why it's important to the community. And we would love to conclude the story by letting the public know how they can attend this performance. And how will we use sounds and pictures to tell the story? We can implement pictures of the Meyer Theater and Jake and Tanner's previous shows. In addition, we can implement sound bites from the Jake and Tanner show. I believe there might be more, but yeah. And the story would have to be released before October 21st, which is the day of the show, hopefully a week before, so that the story can remain relevant and be informative enough to garner interest from the general public. And other special considerations is obviously we could try to get an interview with Jake and Tanner if that is a possibility.
Oh, thank you. And first, local farmers market. And second, Jake and Tanner takes the stage. Yeah, just a few thoughts. The first local farmers story has been also dealt a lot at the media workshop. So, but this is really straight fact-based news. So if this pitch is chosen, you can dig deeper. How successful compared to last year after COVID? How successful? And the stats also, number of vendors who participate in local farmers market every Wednesday and Saturday, right? Wednesday, Saturday? Wednesday also?
The website I was looking at said only on Saturdays.
Only Saturday, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's for the Broadway one. Otherwise, there is one that I believe is only held during the summer on Wednesday evenings. That's near more downtown on the west side.
Okay. All right. So much more in depth. And yeah, Sarah, just for a few seconds, okay?
Yeah, I thought that it was actually swapped. I've been to the farmers markets quite a few times. Typically the Broadway farmers market is the one that I've gone to on Wednesdays. And then Washington farmers market is the one that's on Saturdays, I believe.
Oh, okay. Thank you. All right. Yeah, but yeah, much more in depth. Of course, you have to contact vendors at the local market, what they prepared, and whether their selling was successful, where their market was successful, and anything to improve. And those attending at the, yeah, that's good. And yeah, much more in depth. So we can think of the two things, community engagement first, and second, economic boost of our Green Bay, some kind of synergic effect, we can think about it. And timely, yeah, this can be a wrap-up story for the farmers market, right? Wrap up, yeah, almost wrap up. And the second story is that Jake and Tanner show, it's a radio show, right? Radio?
Yes, it is, but they are having a live performance in October.
Live performances
on
October 21st. Yeah, that's good.
At the
That's
Meyer
good.
Theater.
At the Meyer Theater. Yeah, that's good. That's good. And compared to this farmers market, this Jake and Tanner show was rarely dealt. Yeah, very rarely dealt. This might be a great possibility to introduce who Jake and Tanner is, and also their role in our Green Bay community. Yeah, entertainment and entertaining and giving information. So yeah, this could be also great story that can be that can be built that can be used as some kind of community engagement. So yeah, very timely relevant. And I think Ty pointed out that one that released before October 21st, day of the show. Yeah, great. Also timely relevant, very timely relevant. And I'm sure that there is no reason to say no if you ask interview for them. So yeah, so please, yeah, if this story is chosen, the first job is to write an email to them, and before that, you need to get confirmation of email from me and also Michael, whether it is polite or professional or not. That's my brief thoughts. And Michael, let's go to Michael.
Okay, well, I think both story ideas are really good. On the farmers market one, what has this farmers market meant to the Broadway business district? That I'm very familiar with the Broadway business district because at one time Broadway was not a very good place to be. There were at one time 33 bars on Broadway.
Oh.
33 taverns. And over the years, some of the not so good taverns have disappeared. I think there might be only 19 left between Mather on the north and Lombardy on the south end of Broadway. But more important, that area on Broadway where the farmers market is held is having a sort of like a reinventing itself and and has been rejuvenated. And so I think that there's the Broadway Business District Association, and there's a guy there that leads it. I can't remember his name, but it would be good that guy might be a pretty decent source if you haven't already listed that as a person who can talk about the impact that farmers market has had on the businesses there. It draws in, you're right, it draws in 1,000 people every time they have it, and those businesses there also benefit from it. I think that one thing, are the vendors really happy with it, or can you talk to vendors about what things they might want to suggest as improvements there, or are they really happy about it and don't see any improvements? I think that it's a good social event, and I think that the vendors should be benefiting from it. Then the question would be, do you want to do a story just on the Broadway farmers market, or do you want to do the Washington Street market as well? My suggestion is, if you're only going to do one of these stories and you pick the farmers market, that you would probably have the time to put both of those markets into one story. I think that would be, you don't want to slight one over the other, at least. And you guys should know better than I which one is the more popular. Whoever someone was going to both of those, are they both as popular or draw as many people? So I think it's a good, yeah, I think that's a great story, and if you can include both, that would be great.
Okay, I think Sarah had something to say. Sarah, yeah.
As
Okay,
someone
yeah.
who has been to both, I can definitely say that the Broadway one is a lot more popular among younger people, whereas since the Saturday one takes place earlier in the day, it's typically like an older generation that's there. So
Oh, that's very interesting. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That makes the story even a little better.
And do you have any thoughts on Jake and Tanner, Michael?
Yeah, on the radio show,
Yeah.
I think it's important to figure out the ratings. I'm not sure where they sit in the ratings, and it's going to be trying to get the ratings of the morning shows. The
Rating. Oh.
Yeah, the Nielsen ratings. There's a firm named Nielsen that keeps books on the ratings, and the only way you can get that information is if the radio station releases it to you. So it's not really a public record type of thing. Nielsen is a private company, and the stations tend to keep those ratings very private because unless they're number one, because they don't want people to think that they're doing really lousy. But if there's some way that Jake and Tanner's show or Kiss FM can release the Nielsen figures to you, that would be a good get on that. And definitely try to interview Jake and Tanner. I'd be interested to find out what their background is. How did they get their start in radio? Was this their dream job to be morning disc jockeys, morning talk show hosts? And I'm thinking that if they're number one in the market, that they should be making some pretty decent money as well. And then I like the idea of what is their role in the Green Bay community. It's entertainment, obviously, but if they're the top station, you should ask them what they view their role is in the Green Bay community. It's getting people off to a good start in the morning. Simple as that, probably, but they'll probably have more to say on that.
Okay, let's go to Grace first. Grace.
I was gonna say with the ratings and stuff, if they're doing so well, I would think to maybe even look, because every radio station that, well, literally any radio station that's on the broadband, they have to keep a public file. So I'm wondering if that information may possibly be there if it's doing so well. But I mean, it's probably a very low chance, but that was a thought that I was thinking of. And you may even find other information too in their public file for certain information that you're looking for too, depending on the relevancy and what your ideas are when you're writing.
And Ty.
Oh, Grace, that is absolutely correct. I was just gonna say that with a radio show, they legally need to have their public file on hand, otherwise they'd receive, I believe, like a $10,000 fine by the FCC. So that's definitely something I could get my hands on. Now, as far as the Nielsen ratings, I'm not sure if that would be a matter of public record. But as far as obtaining the public file, I could get that probably within a span of a few days.
All right. Others?
I'm sorry. Let me interrupt for just a second.
No. Not at all. Yeah, please.
I think I found the Nielsen ratings for is Kiss FM WIXX?
Nope. Kiss FM is 95.9, whereas WIXX is 101.
So what are the call letters for Kiss FM? The four letters.
KISS.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, you guys, you can get back to your discussion. I'm trying to find the Nielsen ratings online, see what I can find.
Okay. And our editors. Do you have any thoughts, editors? Student editors?
I think that the story about the Jake and Tanner show would be a really interesting, almost profile piece then, and that would be something different.
Oh,
Since
yeah.
like the majority of us are doing, more like news stories or like a sports story, but having a more personal piece would be, I think, kind of cool to have in like our arsenal on the website for sure.
Yeah, like I like both stories because I agree with Lauren about the having a profile of like the Jake and Tanner show and the fact that they're doing a show at the Meyer Theater, which is important to the area.
Mhm.
I do like the farmers market story because that's another thing that's really important to this area. You could do like a kind of story about why the farmers market started, why are there multiple ones, and like kind of doing a timeline of how was it doing before COVID, how it was doing immediately after COVID, and how it's doing now, and kind of show that parts. But I mean, both are good. So I mean, it's kind of whichever one you prefer, I think, in my mind.
Okay, and then with the farmers market, something else that I kind of thought of was like these vendors that come, like obviously the markets are popular, like I know a ton of people that go to them, but how much are the vendors like actually making from the market? Like, do they need to have like several other like side gigs going on? Like, is this how they make their main living? If any of them are like willing to like talk about that, I think that'd be an interesting angle for the story too.
Oh, showcasing. Okay. And Mason.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about the call letters. The call letters aren't KISS. It is actually WKSZ. So that might help. I believe this was Ty's story. So Ty, that might help you out when you're actually looking it up. The station name is different from the station ID. So
yeah, I found the ratings for the last ratings period. You're right, it's WKSZ. Those are the call letters. And they're I'll email a link to Joseph and he can share that with you. They're not number one. Number one is consistently WIXX FM. And they're by far the ratings leader in the Green Bay area. Looks like KSZ would probably be like fourth or fifth rated overall. I don't know what the morning, how they rate in the morning, compared with other morning shows. I don't know that, but I'll send Joseph a link for you on that.
Yeah, I'm gonna share every information, every question that Michael sent to all of you who suggest the group. Okay, and yeah. So I hope 4 of you may write 2 stories at once, but it might be a little bit hard. Yeah, challenging. So okay, I am a little bit more inclined to know more about Jake and Tanner show, and so okay, and how about voting? Please raise your hand if you want to know more about farmers market. Both are also acceptable. Yeah. Yeah. Raise your hand using this Zoom application. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh. Okay. 5, 6. Oh. 7. 5. Yeah. Okay. Okay. And next, Jake and Tanner show. Jake and Tanner. 1, 2, 3, 4. Very divided. Please vote others. 5. Others, please vote. Also, Tanya, Jack, and Jared. What's your opinion? Yeah.
I voted for the farmers market one.
Farmers market, highly divided. Oh my God. Okay, stop it. Let's stop. Very highly divided. And Jake, oh yeah. Bailey, Samantha said she won't be here, and Ty and Will, Any last opinion? Do you have any last thought? So it seems that Bailey suggested farmers market and Ty suggested Tanner and Jake, right? Jake and Tanner, right?
Yep.
Oh,
That's correct.
yeah. Okay. Okay.
I think of the two, I would vote for the farmer's market.
Farmers market?
And that doesn't mean that the Jake and Tanner thing isn't a good story. They're both pretty good. So.
Very great. Yeah, very great. Yeah. I voted for Jake and Tanner, so it's exactly divided half and half. Like, yeah, exactly divided. Oh. So, okay, I decided. So Bailey, Samantha, Ty, and William, you have your chat room or email contact information, right? Yeah.
Yep.
I'm
Yes.
gonna let. It's really hard to decide at this moment. So please discuss both of you and let me know next Monday. Sounds good? Yeah, that's better. Yeah. But when it is decided, please start making an outline and sharing. Yeah, and have a story plan. Set your story plan. Okay. All right. All right. So yeah, farmers market. And any last question? Any thought? All good? Can we go to Jared, Jack, and Willie on the story? Sure. Okay.
So, I also just want to point out our second pitch was the exact same as a couple groups ago with the construction. So I'm not sure if that's something we can do if they're doing it already, but we do have a solid pitch for our other one as well. If we wanted to read that one first.
Yeah, so our first one was the Wisconsin Republicans unveiling the $600 million renovation plan for American Family Field. So they're going to be keeping the plans to keep the Brewers in Milwaukee, and even though it's the smallest market, the Brewers are one of the biggest attractions in the entire state of Wisconsin. So we're going to talk about why it's important to keep the Brewers here and what they bring to the city. Visual, obviously, we can have pictures of inside and outside the stadium. A few days ago, there was actually rain that came through, leaking through the roof, so that should be a really good reason of why they need these renovations made. Video, yeah. So like I said, video of the stadium leaking, showing fans. You want to scroll down more? Sources, obviously, Brewer fans, Republicans supporting the deal, and then we could try to find some local Milwaukee beat writers. Angles, taxpayers need to know where the $600 million is coming from and where exactly it will be distributed. Fans need to know why the stadium needs repairs, and we can use, again, videos and pictures to show that. And we can use sound bites from press conferences where the plan was discussed briefly and use clips from any future discussions. And then we can also use pictures from inside and out the stadium to show the renovations. And then for the stadium, right now they're not really talking about it a whole lot, especially with the season going on. And there's, again, it's just a proposal because they needed a deadline, so nothing's official yet. So believe they have until next fall to have a solid deadline and a plan physically in place. Otherwise, they'll look for relocation. And then again, this deal is proposed, not finalized, so a lot could happen in that in the next couple months. And then
please pitch the second idea, even though it is covered. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, like we said, we also chose the campus renovations, specifically not like focused on parking, just everything happening on campus. So construction all over campus has been the big talk throughout the beginning of the fall semester. Although this will benefit the campus in the long run, the current issue, specifically parking, has frustrated many students. Getting an idea of how the construction is progressing and how housing is handled, certain problems will that arise would be important, as well as getting students' perspectives and how the whole situation has been handled. So how is this a visual multimedia story? There's a lot of construction going on all over campus, the dorm buildings, parking lots, all over. So it'd be really easy for us to get pictures and just, you know, visuals of all the construction and parking lots that are, you know, on the rise, and also buildings going up. So for sources, obviously we could do a student, so we could do like a man on the street interview, ask some students on how they feel about the current situation about parking. As the other group mentioned as well, we could do professors, their ideas, like you said, Professor Yu, the limited parking on when people have to come over to, you know, when professors drive to campus or commuters, they don't know where to park and it's kind of hard to find a spot sometimes. We could also ask the maintenance crew or the, you know, just the people working on the project if they would give us any information, but that might be tough, as we discussed earlier. Different angles, students want to know when they can rely on their parking and return to the buildings that are closest and most convenient to their buildings they're assigned to if they're on campus. And for people off campus, they also want to know just specifically where they can park and rely on every time they commute to campus, so they know that they'll have a spot. Students are getting tired of being asked to move their cars. I know a couple, like last weekend, there was something in like by the apartment buildings where they had an event on campus, and we don't have much parking to begin with on campus. So when they asked us to move our cars, like we didn't know where to move them because there's not many places to move to park. And also it's a problem. I know this might be done before the winter, but if there was snow and they had to plow out the parking lot, I mean, we wouldn't have a place to park. So we're just, you know, trying to focus on this now. But how we will use sound and pictures. Pictures and videos of the construction being done on campus can be used in our story. We can have progress pictures on the new dorm comparing to what it looked like at the spring semester versus what it looks like now. The only timing considerations, the new dorm won't be completed for a while as there's no time limit, but the parking lot has been shared, or the shared apartments has scheduled to be completed by October, so we're limited with the time that we can do this construction project, so we'd have to get our interviews pretty quick and talk to as many people as we can before, I mean, October is coming up here soon, so I mean, in the next few weeks, probably. As I mentioned earlier, weather's also an issue. If this is done before and figured out before there's any snow, weather is not really a concern, but if it isn't, and there's a lot of concern about it, because last year they asked people to move their cars from the trad parking lots and even, you know, all the parking lots just so they could plow out the parking lots. But if people aren't gonna be able to park somewhere, they're gonna be hesitant to move it. But if it's done before October, this isn't really a big issue. So otherwise, there's not really much other considerations to worry about.
The first one is Republican unveiled 600 million renovation plan for the American Family Field in Milwaukee, not Green Bay. Second one is construction, parking lot, and renovations, and dormitory. That pretty much covered a lot. My question for the first three is that why GB members have to know? Because are there a lot of Brewers fans?
I mean, just like obviously in the state of Wisconsin, the majority of fans here are Brewer fans, and it's a big deal, especially if the state of Wisconsin were to lose the Brewers. It's going to be a huge financial impact. And I know a couple people close to my close friends that won't watch baseball because they don't have a team to root for. So it's going to be a big hit to the whole state if we lose the Brewers, I feel.
And also to add to that,
yeah, it's already to go first. Yeah.
To add to that, I know I'm not going to say all, but a lot of Brewer fans are also Packer fans, and they're very passionate about the Packers. So if we could put it into perspective, say like the Packers are leaving the Green Bay, you know, like we can try to relate that to them, saying how much of an impact that would be on the city. I know it's not Green Bay, but it's still an impact on the state overall, and there would be a lot of money that's lost in the outcome, like even if it is Milwaukee and the Brewers.
And Mason and Austin, please.
I just had a question about why did you decide to only include the Republicans that approved of the story instead of trying to go the other way of like, well, why do people want to deny the stadium being rebuilt, or looking at economic impact? Well, to be honest, the economic impact would be more towards Milwaukee, but I was just curious why that wasn't decided on.
We chose that basically because like this news just broke like a couple weeks ago, and the whole problem was that they weren't getting enough funds from the public. And now these Republicans just proposed like they proposed it to everyone saying that they will.
We are sorry that we are unavailable to take your call right now.
They said that they will give the money, and that they're willing to do it if the team works with them.
Right, but my question was more, why just the ones who approve of it? Why not the ones who aren't for the bill?
I mean, that's kind of something that's another angle we could take. But again, it was more of just I would say like the positive side of it. It's like, I mean, I get what you're saying that, there's going to be two different sides to it. And, very well, there could be, but right now we didn't see the story. Like, I guess as fans, we're kind of more hoping for them to stay. So that's not something we just looked at right away. That's all.
I mean, if I didn't say it, so I personally wouldn't write that story of, oh, we need this to be approved, otherwise they're moving out, because that'd be rushing to conclusions like big time. Like, it takes a long time for relocations to happen. I mean, the Oakland A's pushing probably 20 years of them trying to get out of there. Like, don't make it like this needs to be approved. Like, try to avoid that like takeaway, because just based off that headline or like kind of the descriptions, like a lot of sports fans, that would be their initial reactions. Oh, this has to happen, otherwise Brewers are going to dip. Like, that's probably not likely, but just try to avoid, I would say probably just try to avoid making it so like kind of like this needs to happen type thing, because then you're kind of coming across as like you're picking a side.
Yeah, that's a good point too. We can take that into consideration, because even if the Brewers would relocate, like nothing would happen until at the earliest like 2030, I think is the last year they'd be under contract. So we would have to try to work around staying there. That's a good point.
Okay. And yeah, I wish this story should be more connected to our GB people and local residents here, Brown County residents here. Okay. And also, I'd like to say that this one. The best case scenario is to take photo and video by yourself, but it's a little bit it's more challenging to to get access to Brewers compared to GB, right? Understand? Yeah. So I was a little bit worried about this issue. Why about the having an access, and this was pretty much covered a lot. And also, Michael, any thoughts, Michael?
Yes. The Brewers pitch, it's going to be complicated.
Yeah.
This is the discussions on this, that the Republicans' proposal is sort of like a starting place for discussions. And there's so many things that are going on with this proposal that, and so many times it's going to change, that I'm not sure. You could write it for the end of October, and by November 1st, it could change again. And there's several things going on here. The city of Milwaukee and Milwaukee County have to basically come up with a third of the public funding. And then they lose under this proposal, they would lose their representatives that sit on the stadium district board. So that's almost, you could almost say that's taxation without representation, that's a big issue. And then the city wants to take part of the parking lot from the Brewers and develop it into something like, what the Titletown district is in Green Bay. And the Brewers don't want to do that because they don't want to lose parking spots. So it's going to be, I think that the Republicans' proposal is a starting point. Remember that Governor Evers had proposed to take $290 million out of the state's surplus and pay for it, and the Republicans rejected that. So there's a lot of things going on in this proposal. It's political, it's statewide politics, it's local politics, and so yeah, it would take a lot of time for you guys to pull that together, and it would be a developing story that you'd probably be rewriting right up until your deadline. On the other hand, if Joseph would wanted to have you take a more local approach to it, there was a referendum in Brown County a while ago onto whether the Packers should expand Lambeau Field to build an atrium, and it was a big topic, and it barely passed. It was a very, very close vote. That was a long time ago, obviously, but the scenario could be similar in that you have residents of Brown County who don't live in Green Bay, who really don't go to the games, can't afford to go to the games, have no interest in the Green Bay Packers, and yet have to pay the stadium tax that was passed to finance the improvements to Lambeau Field. I do have a source that you could talk to about the Lambeau Field renovations and the tax that goes with it. I know the guy who runs the Green Bay Brown County Stadium District. So if you wanted to take the Brewers news peg and then give your readers a little history lesson on how difficult it is to get something like this passed, you could certainly look at the Lambeau Field issue. So that might be one way to get a local angle or a Green Bay angle to the Brewers Stadium. As far as campus renovations go, I know there's a little bit of overlap on the parking issue there, but if I'm not mistaken, there are 3 buildings on campus that are over 50 years old. The 3 original buildings on campus are still there, and I'm wondering what the library is already being replaced, and that was 50 years old, and now there are 3 other buildings on campus that are actually older now than the library, and so I'm wondering if you're looking at campus renovations, maybe one thing to get away from the parking problem that overlaps with these other stories is taking a look at what buildings might need renovations in the near future. But that's just a suggestion. I'm just throwing that out there as another story idea. That'll be up to you.
Yeah, slightly changed the pitch. For the second pitch, the when was it built in? So you may focus your angle, if your angle might be some old buildings, but yeah, already Grace covered library stories. So Grace in the media workshop. So yeah, including, yeah, so that could be a reference, but library should be included. But if you include any other building, old buildings that need some renovation, that might not overlap with this story idea. That's what Michael mentioned. You got it, Jared, Dylan, and Jack?
Yep, I got it.
And let's
Yeah.
go to our editors. Let's go to our editors. How do you think?
So yeah, with the renovations, like obviously we that's been covered a lot, especially like you mentioned with the library. But I mean,
Yeah.
it shows that the university is trying to improve things if they're constantly renovating. They're not just, oh, this is fine. Like, oh, we can do better, which is, I feel like a lot of what the university tries to do is that we're not settling for what we have. We're trying to do better.
Right. And like, I think it would be interesting how like the library is, everyone says it's like, oh, it's so old, that's why it's getting redone. But I didn't know that there's other buildings that are older than the library. So that would be interesting. Like, how do they decide when it's time to like renovate or like, make
Replace.
a new, replace, make a new building. And like also like funding. I know everyone's kind of talking about like the funding, but like where is the money gonna come from then, So yeah.
And
So the oldest buildings on campus are the LS and ES and the underground building that is between ES and the library. Those were the three original buildings on the campus. And those buildings were there in 1969. So, and then I'm assuming they're still working okay. I'm not sure they have any roof leaks or anything, but that would be the only, why did the library have to be replaced and yet those buildings aren't? I don't know. I'm just throwing that out as an idea. I'm not sure if you're talking about building renovations, there might be better ideas than that too.
I
Great.
get this.
Oh, sorry.
Oh no, I just wanted to quick say that at least with like environmental science, like I feel like they've done some kind of upkeep because like obviously the outside maybe isn't the best, but like the inside is a lot better shape than like the library is. So I feel like that because it's a smaller building, so it's probably easier to upkeep than like the library, which is so big, and if it degrades over time, like it kind of I think like the reason they want to replace it because it is more expensive to repair than to replace ultimately.
And great. Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
I was just going to suggest in terms of like if you want to focus renovations on campus, everyone has been talking about the library, but something that I've heard for the longest time is that they're planning to rebuild the Union at some point. So I think it would be I've never seen anybody really talk about it or it being covered. So I think if you're dead set on like, okay, I want to talk about renovations, I think investigating that would be interesting since no one's really talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Others?
I think that's I
Yeah.
think that's a good way to go because again with the library, that was a big thing last year, and you see everything happening now. So like we could just take the angle of what with all these renovations, and they seem to be doing it pretty consistently. Where else could they maybe go next?
Okay.
Yeah, good idea.
Good idea. So my suggestion is that the first American family story field is really complicated and really political. It could be, it might be a little bit out of our, it could be a little bit complicated and political. And so GB building story, renovation building story about the year that was constructed, and so GB building renovation story might be a little bit more applicable more bit readable to our audiences and GB members. And this is so because your angle, your main focus was a little bit flipped like this way. So this might be not overlapped with other stories. That's my opinion. So I hope you may go for the second pitch about the GB building renovation. So Jack and Dylan and Jared, did you take a note?
We'll think we'll go that way. We'll go the way that we all talked about, just the renovations, but try to stay away from what's all been covered already.
Okay. Yeah. Summary of this. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And Dylan, are you there, Dylan? Dylan?
Yeah, I'm here.
So Dylan, how do you think? So go for the second one.
Yeah, I would say that sounds good.
Yeah. Okay. Any last thought? Any thought? Do you have any thought? No? Okay. Okay, hold on. I just briefly got an email from Charles today in the morning, and he want to write a story about just a few seconds. So, okay. Uh-oh, not this one. Uh-oh. Hold on. Yeah, Charles Smith want to write about President Biden Save Program Student Loan Forgiveness Initiative. But that's one information, so I asked him to provide more, but he did not send me email. He did not send additional email. So I'm gonna ask him to further more information about this one. President Biden Save Program Student Loan Forgiveness Initiative. Have you ever heard about it? Have you ever heard about this issue? No? No?
I mean, like, if it's just
go for
like revamp of Biden's efforts to tackle student loans. But yeah, I think I've heard of this version.
Yeah, I think I've heard of it. I don't know too much about it though.
Okay, it can be informative. So I'm gonna ask Charles to dig deeper and send his pitch to me this Monday. Okay? Yeah, dig deeper. Ask him to dig deeper, and yeah, I already asked him, but he didn't reply yet. Yeah, he said he has doctor's appointment so yeah. But I'm gonna ask him to get to know more. All right. So yeah, thank you for this long meeting. This is the very beginning, and I hope I want to look at how it worked. It goes well. It worked, and it seems pretty worked well. So thank you for joining. So I think I don't want to take your time. Thank you for joining. So make sure the team of Will, Ty, and Samantha and Bailey, please discuss and let me know. Okay. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right.
Yeah, Michael. Yeah. I think we already used a lot of time. So yeah. How do you think?
I think
How do you think?
you guys did a wonderful job on the story pitches. All of them are really good potential.
Yeah, thank you. And one last suggestion is that probably I'm thinking of meeting 2 weeks later to share your progress. That meeting won't be too long like this. I just want to know where you are. So 2 weeks later, just as we did last semester. Can you join at Friday 2 p.m. 2 weeks later? Others, all good?
I might not be able to go to that one, possibly. I may have something going on then, but I will keep you in the loop.
But Grace, you have Josh and Lauren, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I want to see where you are 2 weeks later. Okay?
Also, not to interrupt, if it doesn't work for everyone, it's fine, but like I can make 2:30 that day. I can't make 2 because I work until 2. But if
Okay. I hope that meeting won't be too long, about less than an hour. That's my idea. Okay, Jared? Good, Jared?
Yeah, that day.
Yeah, won't be too long. Just so I want to know where you are. Yeah, that this is quite required for every meeting. So I want to know where you are. If you struggled, let me know. So okay, I will not interrupt anymore. Thank you so much, and have a great rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Done. Meeting done. Yeah. red? Yeah.